You should have the ability to explain anything in 10 seconds, in 2 minutes, in 30 minutes. You might be smart. The interviewer is smarter. Remember that always. 5 practical takeaways from this experience and from the research and talking to my friends. Made some superficial changes. You will never ever be able to answer these kind of deep questions. Do not ever cheat in an interview. If you're new here, my name is Savinder Puri and I've been in the build, release, DevOps, SRE, software engineering area for over 2 decades. You can go check out my LinkedIn profile to know more about the details. One humble request to you before we start the video. Please hit that subscribe button. For you, it's just a click. For me and my team, it's a lot of value. So if you've not done that yet, please hit the subscribe button and let's get started. Hello girls and boys, how's it going? So over the last years, I've interviewed a bunch of people in DevOps, cloud and related areas. Some of these interviews are the brightest minds in the DevOps industry. And when I was interviewing a couple of others, I almost felt like, you know what I'm saying, right? So today I'm here to share with you my worst interview experiences. And you will get a lot of benefit from this video, whether you are interviewing someone or you yourself are interviewing to get a job. And for the purpose of this video, I have done a lot of research and I've spoken to a couple of my friends who are these days going to college campuses for campus recruitment. In fact, what one of them told me would completely shock you. He had a couple of people in the college approach him with projects with AI, with image recognition and things like that. And he rejected those people. He selected somebody who had made a simple calculator app. And I'll explain to you why. The format of this video is very simple. We talk about the candidate profile. I tell you what question I asked. I tell you the response that I got. And I tell you the lesson that we can learn from that response. So follow this till the end. You will get a lot of information from this video. It'll help you if you want to take interviews or if you want to give interviews. It's for both the persona types. So candidate profile 1, a senior DevOps engineer. The question that I asked him, I said, hey, you mentioned using Terraform in your previous project. Tell me exactly what you did in Terraform. The candidate spoke for 6 minutes non-stop. I listened and I couldn't listen anymore after 6 minutes. The candidate spoke about how the application is built, how it is deployed, how it is full of issues, how the QA team is not working correctly, how they have to work long hours, everything except Terraform. What's the lesson learned? Listen to the question carefully. If you don't understand the question, it is perfectly okay to say, hey, I didn't understand the question. Can you please rephrase the question? Use that word, rephrase the question. Then I will put the question in a different way. Maybe you'll be able to understand that better. It is not okay to go on a ramble and give some BS answer which is no relevance to the question asked. When you're giving the answer, every couple of sentences, take a pause and ask something like, hope this answers the question. Am I making sense? Am I proceeding in the right direction with this answer? Something like that. Get confirmation every couple of sentences. So candidate profile 2, a DevOps architect. The question that I asked him was, can you explain the DevOps architecture for your previous project? Explain to me all the toolings and what they do and why they were decided to pick up that particular tool for that job. The guy's answer, he went on to explain the architecture in the air. So this is Git, then this is Gerrit, and this is Azure DevOps, and then this is that, and then this is that. Everything was in the air. And after a minute or so, I had to stop him. I said, dude, you have put about 15-20 tools up in the air. I can't understand what is going on. Why don't you do this? Why don't you share your screen? open up a draw.io or a PowerPoint and just draw this out for me. It'll help me understand things and you can also explain it better. You know what the guy said? He said, hey, I don't create slides. I'm a technical guy. I don't do PowerPoint. That was the answer the guy gave. What's the lesson to be learned here? To me, it is very simple. If you can't explain what you have done like you can explain it to a 5-year-old, you yourself haven't understood what you have done. So I always say this, you should have the ability to explain anything in 10 seconds, in 2 minutes, in 30 minutes. You pick and choose what depth you want to go to. If you have done something and if you have truly understood it, you should be able to explain it like that, in whichever shape or format, however you want it explained. And if you can't draw slides and if you can't draw out an architecture, my friend, you are not much of an architect. I'm sorry to say that to you. Another practical thing, if you can't explain what you've done to the team, to the leadership, to others, how do you expect to influence them and how do you expect to lead them as well? So here's an anecdote that a friend of mine shared from a college campus placement interview. So he had a bunch of people who had made AI related softwares. And I'll pick up one because I thought it was very interesting. So the project used facial recognition and it was an app to mark attendance as you walked into a classroom. That was what basically the project was. Looks like a very cool project. And my friend who was interviewing started asking the following questions. He said, hey, what library did you guys use for the facial recognition? The answer was, we used XYZ library because it is the best for facial recognition. Next question, best as compared to what? What other libraries did you compare it with? The answer was, yes, we did compare it to a couple of other libraries, but this was the one that gave the best result. Next question, sure, what parameters did you evaluate on? Give me 3 or 5 parameters that you evaluated the libraries on. Yeah, but we had a couple of parameters, I have them all documented, I can share them with you. Okay, so I understand. So what parameters does this particular library have and what are the customizations possible? Well, there are a bunch of customizations possible. We've used the best ones which are related to this project and we have done a lot of research for this. Okay, fair enough. What other options of customizations are available? Can you give me some specific examples? Well, I don't really remember now. Okay, fair enough. So you have a software which will scan my face and basis of that marked my attendance, right? That's what it basically does. Fantastic. Can you extend that library to recognize that of the number of people entering a class, how many people are wearing spectacles? Is that possible to do in this library? Well, I don't know. I'll have to check. Okay, fair enough. Can you identify out of 30 people that walk into a class, how many boys, how many girls? Can your library do that? I am sure it can do that, but there are some parameters, but I'll have to research. Okay, fine. Does the app do a liveliness check? I'm not sure what a liveliness check means. Okay. What is the logic for checking whether I'm wearing spectacles or not? Your library might do it, might not do it, but if you were to build a logic, a pseudocode, how would it look like? Well, I'm not sure. Okay, fine. One last question. Can you deploy this app on an edge device like a Raspberry Pi? Well, I'm not too sure. I'll have to check. Okay. Another last question. What changes will you have to make if this app did not have internet access and could not sync to a central server? I'll have to make some architectural design change. Yes, exactly what changes are you making? I'll have to do some research. What are the lessons learned? You will know these answers only if you have actually worked on the system and you have actually done the research yourself. If all you have done is cloned a project from GitHub, made some superficial changes, you will never ever be able to answer these kind of deep questions. You might be smart. The interviewer is smarter. Remember that always. So let's talk about another candidate, another college campus placement. The guy who got selected for creating a simple calculator app. So the interview question was, hey, you've created this calculator app. Why create it in Python? The answer was very simple. I've been coding in Python for a couple of years. I really like this language. And for creating a calculator app, you don't need a very complicated language. Python could just build this fine. Okay, fair enough. Next question was, can you explain the calculation and how it is parsed and how these calculations are actually evaluated? The guy spoke about a shunting yard algorithm, using a little bit of custom parser, using the third-party libraries. Pretty decent answer. The next question was, how do you handle operator precedence, like a baud mass or those kind of things? And the person replied by giving parsing and logic handling examples. Pretty good answer again. Then the next question was, what kind of error handling have you done in this system? And the answer was, I've checked for divide by zero. The system can handle decimal numbers correctly. It can handle negative numbers. It cannot handle log inputs. Pretty good answer again. Then the next question was, can the user see their previous calculations? So what I was really trying to ask is, have you implemented a history feature? And the answer was, yes, I've done state management. This is the algorithm I've used. I also have awareness about how storage is done, how stateful, stateless storage is done. All of these things were answered. The last question was, how modular is your code? If you want to add, let's say, scientific calculation, how easy would it be? And the answer was pretty good. I've structured the code, I've segregated it into functions. You can extend these two base classes, add an exponential class, add a scientific function class, and that should be as simple as that. What's the lesson learned? If you have done the work, it will automatically show. Your research, your reasoning will automatically show. There is no stopping it. Okay, another candidate profile, a DevOps engineer. And the interview question was, whenever I would ask any question, the response would always be something like this. Yes, I understand your question. This is how I will answer it. And the person was deliberately speaking very, very slowly, as if gaining those extra couple of seconds. And then when I observed very, very carefully, I could see some flicker, some screens changing in his specs. Maybe, I think he was using a coding assistant or a chat GPT or something like that. Once I got that doubt, what I did was, I said, hey, this is great. Let's do this. Why don't you share your screen, open up Notepad or your favorite coding editor and write me a pseudocode for this. And that's where I saw the difference. Suddenly the performance dropped. We did that for a couple of things. And then I said, okay, fine, close this. Now let's get into a rapid fire round, right? I want the answers in 1 or 2 words only, nothing more than that. I ask you the question, you reply. And that's where everything fall flat, because the guy had no clue what we was talking about, because he did not have the time to interact with ChatGPT or whatever else he was using. Lesson learned, if you're not honest in the interview, you will be caught sooner or later. The later it is, the more difficult it's gonna get for you. So let me leave you with 5 practical takeaways from this experience and from the research and talking to my friends. Number 1, practice explaining your work. Explain it in 10 seconds, in 2 minutes, in 20 minutes. If you can't explain your own work in simple words, you probably don't understand it enough. Number 2, develop a full picture thinking. What does it mean? A lot of the candidates that I interview know only their piece of the puzzle. They only understand what they are doing. It's almost as if they have blinders on. Cannot work if you are in the DevOps, in the cloud, in the SRE space. You've got to have a good idea of what happens before you do the work, what happens after you do the work. All of that has to be factored in. Number 3, prepare slides, prepare whiteboards, be ready to do diagrams. A good DevOps engineer should always be ready to go on the whiteboard and draw and scribble things out and write points. That is a hallmark of a good DevOps or a cloud engineer. If you can't articulate yourself on a board, on a whiteboard, on even a virtual board, they've got something wrong. Develop that art. Number 4, do not ever cheat in an interview. I can promise you, we can tell. Whether we tell you right on the face or not, but as an experienced interviewer, we can tell. And the 5th and most important, stay curious, ask questions, even to the interviewer, even to the work that you're doing. Ask around. There is no bad question, there is no stupid question. And stay humble. Whether you know a thing or you don't know a thing, it is perfectly okay to say, hey, you know what? I'm not an expert. I don't know this. I can come back to you. So stay humble. And then finally, go back to the basics. You might understand the Kubernetes of the world and the cloud deployments of the world, but sometimes the toughest questions are the most fundamental questions. And tooling will come and go. Concepts will come and go. Fundamentals of Linux, of networking, fundamentals of operating system, they will remain the same. Understand them before you go on to doing the fancier things in life. Hope this video made sense. We have put in a lot of effort in creating these videos. If you have not subscribed already, do subscribe and then check out the playlist for other videos where I talk about learn in public and how to crack remote jobs. I'll see you in the next one.